No. So right now, open up your. Go to. So let's broadcast now, but we'll wait just a few minutes.
My phone doesn't say it is.
Yeah, that's why I said it. Just got the message.
Babe, show me what you like. Hey, y'all put money, I can match it for ya. I'm in this all white fit, looking like a brick and all them zippers on a jacket on ya. He got a thing for a Latin. He wanna hear a little Spanish in it. I told him it ain't practice it. I'm about to fill up the status. Walk up with the click and
shows
I'm
your
looking like the
broadcast.
side of this. I'm the opposite 'cause I'm the leader and the boss in it. I'm about to get it now. They know I'm about to block the hit 'cause someday something come along. Someone to tell me I'm someone doing alright. Somewhere, somebody that someone and somebody that one day will be the love of my life, but not tonight though. Hey, I'm only here for a minute. Bet you want a girl to keep it independent, and I know you gotta like a girl that's disappealing. Get you caught up in the moment, then I'll get you in your feelings. Tell your boys that you gon' meet them later on. Both of us are so taxi, leave the meter on. First time you out in Cali, never tried no strong, so you gon' have some stories to tell when you take it back home and tell them one time, Snowy always showed you what it's like. Leave you sleepy like the call the umpire. Get you out and get you rolling, get you gotta go. I got a flight up in the morning on someday, something come along. Someone tell me I'm someone doing alright. Somewhere, I'll find out someone.
I hear you, Lars. You sick of the soundtrack already? I thought they were going to be updating it.
But not tonight though.
What?
Lars posted a comment on the Twitch channel. He said he's sick of the soundtrack.
He trying to catch me in my feelings, but he don't know that I'm the though.
Oh, because he's probably hearing the music through the broadcast too.
Right.
But I think that I read they were supposed to update it because since
Aaron
it's going to be a.
Sproles, 14 carries, 177 yards on the Buccaneers. Wow.
All right, hey guys, as you start trickling in, welcome to PGL Pod, episode 18. I see Lars here, so feel free to ask questions throughout tonight's broadcast, and we'll get started here where you want to start recapping a couple of the preseason games, just talk about things that are getting going. We'll have a little rule update talk. We will talk about some of the position changes on that rules, so just reminders on some of the advancing, and not just a short little thing going on today. So looking in here, we're looking at the game today. We're looking at the preseason week 1. As I look through Bogey, and I should have Bogey on the line. Hopefully you guys can hear him. So how you doing today, Bogey?
I'm doing pretty good. How's it going, Fat?
Doing well. Let us know if you can hear both of us guys when you get in. But yeah, looking at preseason week 1, my first thing I saw right away was how many people lost to the computer. So let's just start at the top here at some of the guys that played their games. So our first game on the docket, I see that the Eagles beat the Buccaneers. The Eagles are a user team now in Hans, but I believe that was a computer team when Laz played them. Do you know much about that?
No, I don't know if Hans was in when that game got played. It just looked like the Eagles ran all over the Buccaneers defense because they only had like 10 passing attempts the entire game.
Yeah, so I don't know if Laz had some trouble there or what was going on. So, but yeah, definitely interesting. I'm doing a quick adjustment here on the mic volume to see if we can get it up a little bit. But what's the next game that we had down there that you see on the list? I'll zoom to it here in just a second.
Oh, well, the Paddle, the Patriots beat the CPU Saints. Playmaker with his Carolina Panthers got beat by the Ravens. That was a CPU team beat him. And then we got Broncos Bears, but I think that was the Bear. I don't know if they played each other or not. It was a 12-10 win for the Bears.
Yeah, I think Venus was out of town. I think he went on auto for that game, so I think Lars, pushed one out. We'll talk about a big game Lars had earlier today, actually. Once we get going here just a little bit, we'll look at that. Did you mention, I was doing some settings there, did you mention about the Jaguars loss to the Jets?
Nope, I skipped right over that. Z-Guys, Jaguars lost to the Jets 37-20. Right, just getting acclimated to the new game. He didn't even play Madden 16. At least he wasn't in our CFM, so.
Right. No, he didn't
sure
have
he's
the
getting
game
reacclimated.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I beat the Bengals. That's El Motofoke's team, but he hadn't signed into the league because he's out of town, so I played the CPU last night, beat him 22-7. Pretty much just ran the ball in 8 clock most of the time. And then CPU Lions looked like they took out Zildo's Pittsburgh Steelers 23-14.
That was kind of a shocker to me to see that one happen in there.
Yeah.
Him getting knocked off. I didn't expect that. But again, the one thing I'll say here is I'm seeing these is you guys cannot play Madden 17 like you're playing Madden 16. A whole new game. I think all the zones will play tricks on you if you aren't paying attention.
Well, and I think the turnover might have had something to do with it. The Lions had 1 turnover, and the Steelers had 7.
Whoa! Were a lot of those picks, or what was going on there?
I will look here real quick. Gradkowski threw 5 picks, and Landry Jones threw 1.
Yep. So he was trying
6 picks.
He must have been testing out, trying to get that back up where he needs to be. Because if I remember right, he lost Big Ben in Madden 16 at one point. So I think he's trying to make sure he's got a backup. Not sure if Gradkowski's the guy then with those numbers.
Yeah, he usually plays Landry Jones. Seems like Ben gets hurt every year.
Let's back out here. Anybody else that played? Let's see. We got the Packers. Got knocked off by the Computer Browns. I know that's awesome, bro. One of our younger players. He's probably still learning the game, I'm sure, quite a bit.
And the Raiders Cardinals played. That looks like a user v user. Raiders won. That was Tut beat Big B 48-22.
Yep, so just looking in at this game, looking at the box score, it looks like the Raiders put up plenty of passing yards. The Tut still, everybody remembers Tut as a rusher, and he did have 183 rushing yards, don't get me wrong. He had the running as well, but he put up over 300 yards in this game passing. I think Tut discovered the pass last year, so it should be interesting to go forward. Looks like the Cardinals threw 4 picks, too. That'll hurt you every day.
Right. I hate how it puts me back at the top. I gotta go. Seahawks beat the Chiefs. The Guar beat the Computer.
Yep.
You beat the Colts by 7. Cowboys and the Rams. That was basically a sim. They played the first quarter, and I believe it was Rams 14, Cowboys 7, and then they played the game disconnected, so they replayed the first quarter, and I think it was Dallas 21, Rams 7, so a 28-21 game, half a game, and then they agreed to just let it go because Nate had to get his homework done. So that was Dallas got a 35-20 sim win, but they did play like a full half of football.
Okay.
And then Jurg's Fury's Tennessee Titans beat the Chargers. Don't know if that one didn't get played. I don't think he was in the league yet. And Fixation Sensations Houston Texans beat up on Ultimate Niners non-owned San Francisco 49ers. So even without Ultimate Niner, the Niners are still losers.
Yeah, and we thought maybe they'd have a better chance.
Yeah, I thought they might get a win, but they're same old.
Yeah. And then we've had one game played so far in the preseason week 2. Actually, that was a user game played earlier today. Looks like the Bears, coached by Lars, knocked off Paddlefoot's Patriots. So a nice 26-22 win for the Bears. One thing I was hearing in the chats, there was a little bit of controller issues or whatever. One thing I'll say to guys is that's one big reason why we communicate. And so, if you need to pause the game, reset your controller, try things or whatever, just talk to each other. That's what we're here for. Anything you saw in that one when you looked in at the box score?
Well, Yeah, Cutler was 1 of 3, and he did not throw a pick. He went with Brian Hoyer, 17 of 24 with a touchdown. And it looked like Jacquez Rogers, 16 carries for 42 yards. Jeremy Langford, 3 carries for 69 yards. And Kerry Lee, a first-year player, wide receiver, was his big target with 5 catches. Patriots, he's keeps saying he's going to not use Brady. And he's going to go with this Jacoby Brissett dude out of NC State. And Garoppolo didn't play at all. And then LeGarrette Blount had 6 carries for 71 yards, and Deion Lewis 3 for 12. So looked like the Patriots are a little pass heavy in this game, but didn't look like there were a lot of turnovers. So
yeah, it looked like there was one. I was trying to see where that one happened.
Yeah, it was one, probably a fumble.
Yeah, it looks like there were a couple fumbles and the one recovery by the Bears, Leonard Floyd, and maybe it might have been on a special teams possibly, because I didn't see that a halfback fumbled from what I looked at on the stats there.
Well, looking at the time of possession, it looks like Lars kept the ball 2/3 of the time and just didn't let the Patriots have it, which is one way to get a win.
Oh,
I'm kind of familiar with I'm familiar with that strategy. When I play against people, they seem to not want to let me have the ball.
That wouldn't be me you're talking about, would it?
I'd be like everybody I play in the league does that.
All right, so let's look at the preseason. We'll try to look at those games. What we'll try to actually do is always look at upcoming games. In fact, let's look at those real quick. Let's jump to season week 1. Any big matchups that we see in season week 1? Right off the top, we got a big user game. It looks like Panthers versus the Broncos and Playmaker and Venus. That should be a good one, I think, right off the bat. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Both are good players. Venus is usually the Eagles. Both good players. This is a tough one. With the new game coming out, it's hard to tell how much they've gotten used to the way the game plays. I'll give Denver the edge just because of home field advantage. I'd say it'll be a 3-point game. I'll give Venus the edge in that one, but that's a big game right off the top.
Yeah, I agree. I think that could go either way. It's almost a coin flip. So obviously, a lot of games come down to is probably who gets the turnovers is going to be the big difference.
Exactly.
Next one on the bracket, we've got the Packers and the Jags. This is Awesome Bro against Z-Guy. This could be interesting. I mean, Awesome Bro definitely a younger player, but Z-Guy just learned in the game. So, you got to say that Awesome Bro has the Packers. That's going to give him an edge. But the Jaguars aren't a slouch team at all this year. They're definitely a good team coming in. What's your take here?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Jags will win this one just because of experience, and by the time this rolls around, I think Z-Guy will have a pretty decent hand on what he wants to do offensively. And we'll just have to see how the younger guy handles the veteran in this matchup. But I think the Jaguars will win this one.
Yep. Skip down on any other user. Next user game we got Lars. His Bears are taking on Fixation and the Texans. Another one, Lars showing he's doing some stuff here in the preseason. He's being patient with the ball, trying not to throw picks, and throw get that turnover, cause the turnovers, that's a downside of the Bears. It always has been in the past few years. And Fixation was a decent player last year, and he looks like he had a nice first game this year. So, who you like in this one?
I would say if I'm going to have to give somebody an edge, strictly on personnel, I'd have to give it to the Texans just because they have the better players. But like you said, Lars has been patient on offense and being smart with the ball, so he could grind out a win. Fix likes to throw the ball, but he does have Lamar Miller on the Texans, and he has Osweiler. So if he stays balanced and he has the better personnel, I'd give the edge to the Texans simply based on the personnel ratings.
All right.
And then the next user v user game is my Vikings are at Yerg's Fury's Tennessee Titans, which was my Madden 16 team. I don't know what to expect because Yerg hasn't played for a while, and it is a new game, so we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I think we were looking at some of the history, and it's been a couple seasons since Yerg's played, a couple years since Yerg's been with us. Looking at his history, he's just under 500, but that was back on when a game was totally different. It's a whole new game. I think the game plays better even for people who are not as experienced, or maybe if you haven't been around. I think you can pick up the game easier, so the defense gets better for you. But for me, looking at this game, you got yourself coming off a great Madden 16, and I think that I got to give you the edge here. I know you're going in to play your old Titans, which gives you an edge again. I think because the personnel that's going to be down there, so I think that's going to play into your advantage.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I do know the team, and I'm changing my defense from a 4-3 to a 3-4 with the Vikings, but I do have a good defense and some young talent on offense. And like you said, the game plays differently, and they've made it pretty user-friendly when they put the C up there for the cutback player and the F up there for the force player. And people who don't know anything about football have no idea what that means, but the game kind of teaches that and helps you play defense. Shows you your gap assignments on run defense and all that kind of stuff, which, in older versions of Madden, you had to know that when you called your defense. But it's kind of nice to actually have it in there because it can teach people who don't know anything about the game a little bit about the game as well.
Right. Then our last user game is the Patriots versus the Cardinals. This will be Paddlefoot and Big B. Another interesting one. I mean, Paddle's kind of a streaky player. I think he, sometimes he's on and he's on fire. And then you'll have times where he kind of has a little downside where things happen. Big B to me is always a guy that's fighting. He's always trying to learn. I know lately I've been noticing he's really asking questions and just trying to learn the game, which I think is awesome. So that's only going to make him a better player as we keep going. So who do you like here?
This is a tough one. Both of these are good teams, and if this plays out anything like last night's game did in real life, it's a toss-up. I think Paddle's biggest thing is turnovers, and I mean that's easy to say, but every time I play Paddle, he keeps the game close, and there's been like the last couple times he's had the lead on me, and I've gotten that turnover that's swung the game in my favor. So I think if he can keep from throwing the ball to the other team or fumbling, he has a good chance of winning. Big B also has a really good team here personnel-wise, and he has gotten better the more he plays the game. And like you said, he's asking questions. He's obviously learning the game and figuring out the different defenses and different coverages. So I think it'll be an interesting game. And once again, I'm going to stick with tradition here. And just because the Cardinals are the home team, I'll give them a 3-point edge just for home field advantage.
Okay, should be a good matchup. All right, so that's our first couple of weeks that's our first week matchups. So we'll try to get, look at the couple weeks at a time when we do our show for you guys and kind of look at those games and weigh in our opinions. But also on those games, as you guys are playing games, again, don't forget, try to get some highlights of those and let me know. Send me the links for those so that I can use them for video highlight show that I'd like to do each week as well. So let's slide over here and look at some of these free agent pickups. So kind of interesting in the free agency yesterday when I opened up preseason week 1. I think there were 5 or 6 picks right at 9 o'clock. I mean, guys were like gunning for these guys, it seemed like. But let's just go team by team, take a look at some of these players. And you know players pretty well, so I'm going to ask for your opinion on some of these pickups and what you think. So we'll look at the Bears here. It looks like they have signed a new left tackle. I guess no surprise there to try to rebuild the offensive line. And then it looks like they signed a fullback as well, which, always, I think fullbacks can be a decent situation. So what do you think?
Well, Eugene Monroe's he's a good left tackle. He's getting up there in age. $4.89 million for 1 year is a steep contract, but that just shows it's a veteran signing as far as how Madden goes. Lee Smith, he was a tight end last year.
That's right.
He was that 78 overall tight end that everybody had to have in Mutt because he was a great run blocker.
Yep.
But I think Lars may have moved him from tight end to fullback, but I think he's a good fullback. But at $3.16 million, he better have like a lot of good-looking girls with him on the bus or on the airplane because that's a lot of money to pay a fullback. But I think they're too good. They're two solid pickups. One to protect Cutler's backside and the other to help lead block. So I think Lars is doing what he needs to do as far as kind of changing the team a little bit.
Well, and then I think that lets him take Smith, and really he doesn't need to carry 3 tight ends. He probably could get away with carrying 2 tight ends if he wanted to at that spot, if he, depending on what he's looking at, because Smith could obviously slide out at times and play a tight end as well. Obviously that's where he came from.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Bengals have had a couple signings due to the computer because I don't think El Motofoque is in. But looking at them, they're not bad. Getting wide receiver Brian Hartline and defensive tackle Henry Melton, so not terrible. They're actually some, decent signings for the Bengals.
Yeah, Henry Melton's a good D tackle. I don't remember his ratings. He's not overly strong, if I remember right, but he's a good player. He was with the Cowboys last year, if I remember right. And Hartline is a solid catch in traffic, good route runner. Not a burner, but a good possession type receiver.
Looking at my team, there's the Bills. I've signed 2 corners so far. I really was just looking for the one in Sanders Cummings right off the bat. But I kind of, for me, felt like I got a surprise signing in cornerback Josh Hawkins, who's a rookie, who was actually released by the Packers with their first preseason week. So what do you think on those signings?
Well, I think Sanders Cummings is a solid acquisition. He was a safety with the Chiefs last year, but he's got good speed, good man, good zone coverage. So he's a very versatile player. Over 6 feet tall, 215 maybe, if I remember right. So he can play a little safety, he can play some corner, and he can cover. Josh Hawkins is a young guy with good speed, and he's a project, I think, but he has good stats to start with. So two solid signings, and you got them both for $2.96 million.
Nobody's signed by the Broncos yet. Just a quick note, looks like the Broncos are busy. That's a computer team, but they're pretty busy if you notice that.
The Browns.
The Browns. Yeah, I was on the Broncos, none there. But the Browns, yeah, very busy. Buccaneers, that's Laz. Laz always holds out to wait and see what he can get basically in week 1. So we'll see what he does there. Looks like the Cardinals signed a center in Will Montgomery. Decent center. What do you think there?
Will Montgomery used to be a Bronco. He's a good signing. If I remember right, the Cardinals had Lyle Sendeline was their actual center. He must have released him, or maybe he wasn't on the roster. But I know Sendeline was a player that was on that team. But Montgomery's a solid offensive lineman. Close to 30 years old, if I remember right. $3.65 million. Not a whole lot, but I mean it's not a cheap lineman. But my guess is it was a need, so he filled it.
All right. Chargers are computer. The Chiefs are computer, right? Yeah. Colts are computer. Cowboys. So just a quick explanation on this. The signings here, so I'm going to let you say that. I know that he's released a couple based off an issue, so I'll let you explain this one.
Well, his initial signing was Leon Hall for $4.88 million. He was one of the better corners available in free agency. He got him on the first day. And then tonight when he got home from school, I told him he could sign another free agent. He went up there and he signed Kendall James, who's a younger, speedy corner with some good ratings. And then you told me that there were 3 of them signed, I asked him, and he said that it was some weird message that the player had already signed with another team. So he picked up Brandon Dixon, and he got the same message. So then he picked up Brandon Harris. So as he says, the game glitched. So what I had him do was he went back in and he dropped or released Brandon Dixon and Brandon Harris. So he did keep Kendall James.
Okay, sounds good. No problem. The Dolphins, that's not a team. The Eagles, this was a computer signing, for Hans. Looks like he picked up wide receiver Jeff Fuller. Falcons are computer teams. What's that?
Sorry, Ben Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown for a touchdown. I needed that.
That's your fantasy team.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. We're going to jump. We've moved on to the Jaguars, looks like. That Z guy, so he has not signed anybody yet. Jets are busy. That's a computer team that's busy. Here's the Packers. Okay, so the Packers picked up middle linebacker Stephen Tulloch. Pretty paid. That's one of the higher signings contract-wise, it looks like, at $5.66 million. Then they also signed wide receiver Riley Cooper, which is interesting because I feel like the Packers always have good receivers. So what's your thoughts here?
Stephen Tulloch, I think, was the highest rated middle linebacker on the free agency board. Probably had an 80 or 80 something overall, so that's why you're paying $5.66 million. Riley Cooper is a decent receiver, nothing extravagant. $3.21 million is a lot of cash for that guy. With him having Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb and Janis, but hey, I guess you can never have too many guys to throw the ball to with A-Rod as your quarterback. So dished out quite a bit of cash, but must have been positions of need. I do know that he released a rookie middle linebacker, so that must have been the release for picking up the Tulloch guy.
All right. The Panthers, they originally signed Will Hill, but we found out that there was definitely a glitch in the game, saying that the guy was on, I think it was 27 weeks out injured when he signed him, even though we had the settings set up to be off for all that with pre-injuries and everything. So he's since put him on IR because he couldn't even release him. I think once the guy's hurt on your roster, you can't release him, which I guess it makes sense. That's the way the game's supposed to work. But so he went out and signed James Jones, which is funny. He went from the defensive player and then switched over to signing a receiver. And then he also signed in halfback Dree Archer, who's got definitely some good speed. So what are your take on those two signings?
Will Hill III was a solid signing because he was the best strong safety out there. Would have been one of the first guys off the board. Just unfortunate there was that 27-week injury. I don't know where that came from. That's kind of weird because it didn't show in our test CFM. And
right,
then
you signed
the James Jones signing. Yeah, the James Jones signing, again, you're paying almost $4 million for a veteran receiver. Good catch. He's a decent receiver. I don't think he's worth $4 million, but that's me. I'm a little finicky. But it's a solid signing. He's a good receiver, definitely a good receiver. And then the old Dree Archer. We all know what Dree Archer's about. Dree Archer's about halfback toss, stretch, give me the ball, run wide, get to the sideline, and try to break it. All I can tell you, boys, is have your safeties and your linebackers with the hit power elevated, get the hit sticks going, pop that Dree Archer, and he'll fumble the ball because his carry rating sucks. But you have to catch him and hit him first.
Right, he is quick. He's a good special teamer too for your punt and kick returns. So
exactly.
Looking at the Patriots, they've made one signing so far. They signed right guard Ryan Wendell. Obviously, looking at they're going to need to protect not Tom Brady going into the season.
Yeah, Ryan Wendell, if I remember right, was one of the best guards available in free agency. I looked at him. $2.64 million is probably about right for that player. He's a solid right guard, and he'll help in the run game and the pass game. So I think that's a good signing there for the Patriots.
The Raiders. This is Tut, right? Yeah, Raiders. Tut is the Raiders now. He signed tight end AC Leonard. I'm going to guess that he's quick. And he's also signed cornerback Chris Culliver. So he's went out there and picked up a couple new guys. Tut going to be a good player. We know that going into the season. What's your take on these two guys?
Yeah, I remember seeing AC Leonard in free agency, but I didn't honestly look at tight ends because I had like 8 of them on my roster. But I think he is a fast tight end. Tut's notorious for liking that tight end who can get across the middle on those drag routes and crossing routes and good catch in traffic. So he's probably quick. Chris Culliver, solid signing, needed another corner. I looked at his corners and him adding Chris Culliver, his top 4 corners are studs. They're pretty darn good. They're almost, I don't know if they're as good as my Titans were at the end of Madden 16, but unfortunately for all of us, they're pretty solid. His man and zone coverage for all 4 of those guys is above or around 80, so it's very good. I think he had 2 really good signings. Next was the Rams. Looks like their head coach, JCB, hasn't signed anybody yet. So we'll go.
All right, I am back. I don't know if you lost me there for a quick second.
CPU team. I did. I moved on because I didn't hear you. I went to the Rams.
All right.
I don't know if we, but he hadn't signed anybody. So,
yep.
Yeah.
So we are moving. Seahawks looks like that is the next team. That is Guar. He's picked up a fullback with his first pick in Will Taufu. What's your take there? I mean, it's interesting because I feel like Guar, normally when he's running, he's trying to pitch. But now I got a feeling he's going to be looking at that stretch a little bit more. So he's trying to get that fullback in there on that I form.
Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate. He's going to probably have a little bit of shotgun run, and he's probably going to have some I form, strong I, things like that. Need a good lead blocker for his running game. He's always been a big running guy, and I think the fullback just adds to his ability to be more versatile in his run game.
Who did the Steelers get?
The Steelers signed left tackle Will Beatty, another really good left tackle, was top. He was one of the higher rated left tackles available. It seems like Zeldo always tries to get one or two linemen. He always tries to improve that O-line. He loves, well, my opinion anyways, he likes or prefers to run the ball and control the tempo. But he's not afraid to throw if he has to. But I think he prefers to run, and who wouldn't if he had Le'Veon Bell in the backfield? So exactly. I think that's a good solid signing for him.
The Texans have signed one player in defensive tackle Sammy Hill, trying to basically get, I feel, him to take on some double teams. That opens up, obviously, J.J. Watt and guys to be coming after the quarterback there. What do you think?
Yeah, Sammy Hill's a solid D tackle. He played for the Titans for me in Madden 16. He wasn't my number one. He was mostly my number two, but I played him in different packages. He's a solid D tackle, and he can take up space. And I agree. I think that's what he's trying to do is try to free up J.J. Watt a little bit. So I think that's a solid signing to help try to solidify his run defense, which is probably going to be huge this year in Madden 17.
All right, the Titans. That is Yerksfury, right? So I don't know if these have been players he's picked up or the computer, but what are your take on, looks like a defensive tackle Terrence Cody and right guard Luis Vasquez, which is a decent signing on that line.
If I can, I'll be honest. Terrence Cody is an excellent pickup at D tackle. I believe he was the strongest defensive tackle in free agency because I had him on my want list, but he was gone. I was out of town, so I wasn't sitting and waiting to pop a player at 9 o'clock. I was playing softball somewhere. But Terrence Cody's a solid signing, real super strong D tackle. Probably play him as a nose in a 3-4 or one gap in a 4-3. Luis Vasquez, I believe, used to play for the Broncos. He's a good guard, another one of the higher rated right guards that was out there available. $4.15 million is a steep price, but you got to pay for talent, and I think that's what he's got here. I think he wants to solidify that Titans O-line. A couple good signings, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then the final is your team and the Vikings. You went out and picked up Bakari Rambo, definitely a guy that can lay a lick here and there. I know that from his days in Mutt and using him there. And then looks like you went and got a backup quarterback in Mr. Johnny Football. Tell us about your picks.
Yeah, I signed Bakari Rambo. He's lower rated overall than my starting strong safety, but Rambo will be my starter because of his hit power, and he's just better overall in my opinion. And I needed to solidify the back end of my pass defense. And then he'll come into play in my run defense as well. I've got a couple things and some formations that I'm going to try to help stop the run. So he was a big asset. So I went out and got him, and he was fairly cheap for what I got. And then today I signed Johnny Manziel, 1 year, $2.24 million. Probably stupid. I was really looking at a different quarterback, but when I compared the stats, kind of bounced it off you a little bit. It made sense to go with Manziel just based off of a couple of his ratings being substantially higher than the other guy I was looking at who I wanted. But, Johnny's going to look cool holding a clipboard on the sideline. He might get in on a couple plays here and there. But our main goal is we had to hire like 3 extra people for security and to keep him out of the bars. So he actually cost more like $3.5 million.
So he's on forced curfew, huh?
Yeah, he's on, he's got to be in bed by like 8 o'clock. The only time he can be out is if we're playing on Monday or Thursday or Sunday nights,
Yeah, there you go. All right, so those are our free agent kind of overview of what guys have taken so far. Just a reminder, guys, you still could have until 9 a.m. tomorrow to get your preseason week 2 pickup in, but after 9 a.m. tomorrow, when we advance to preseason week 3, there are no pickups allowed in preseason week 3, and that means even if you didn't get any of your first 2 yet, you cannot pick anybody up in preseason week 3. Then we move to preseason week 4. Same thing, no free agent pickups in preseason week 4. You cannot pick anybody up, but do make sure you get your practice squad ready. That's from your own team. So you want to make sure you look at your own roster as you're doing cuts. You can move guys that are rookies or one-year players to the practice squad. Then we will advance to week 1 on Thursday morning at 9 a.m. At that time, you can go out and pick up one more free agent if you would like. Or if you haven't got all your up to 3 free agents, you can still go get up to 3. And one of those guys can be a snipe from anybody's squad that is a practice squad. So you can take them from their practice squad as well as your free agent. You can only do that with one player, but you could definitely do that. But remember, your one signing can go to your main roster or practice squad if he's eligible. Anything you want to add there?
No, I think you covered it. Just make sure that you get your week 2 in, preseason week 2 in by 9 a.m. tomorrow. Then you have 2 weeks you're off. Make sure you have your roster down to 53, and you can use that up to 10 slots on your practice squad for practice squad eligible players. And then once we get to regular season week 1, you can finish your free agent acquisitions with the one practice squad snipe, as you called it.
Yeah, I got mutt in my head. Just real quick before we talk about the rules that we want, or the rule position changes we want to talk about, is starting Thursday, advances go to our normal Thursday and Sunday morning advances. I do those roughly around 9 a.m., give or take. Obviously, the app not being available this year kind of stinks because I used to be able to advance from the app, so hopefully they get one. But right now, we'll advance basically Thursday and Sunday mornings, starting on Thursday with week 1. Rules we want to highlight tonight are position changes. So as people have been doing free agents, some guys have been moving guys to certain areas. Real quick, sorry, just answering a question from Lars. I see you can set people in the practice squad starting week 4. It opens up in week 4 of the league. So right now it won't let you do it, but in week 4 you can go under your roster, choose that player, and it will say practice squad eligible, and you can move them at that time over to the practice squad. So again, the position changes that you're allowed to do. So what you guys got to remember that on the rules, there are only certain places you can move guys to. And we want to highlight those because I think we noticed one person move somebody from corner to wide receiver or wide receiver to corner, and that's not allowed. They did move it back, so that's good. But the things you are allowed to change, you can move. These 3 positions are interchangeable, and that is corner, free safety, and strong safety. Those positions can be interchanged with each other. So if you go into your edit mode, in fact, I'll go out here and show people where that's at. As I do that, Bogey, do you have the other ones there, or do you want me to continue going over those?
What did you end up on? My kid was talking to me, so
that's all right. So basically, like I said, the corner, free safety, and strong safety is one interchangeable. What are some other positions that you're allowed to interchange while I go over and show these guys where it's done?
You can take halfback, move him to a fullback. You can move a fullback to halfback. You can move a fullback to tight end. You can move a tight end to fullback. You can move an offensive lineman anywhere on the offensive line. You can move a D end to D tackle, a D tackle to D end. You can move an outside linebacker to defensive end. You can move a defensive end to an outside linebacker. You can also move the linebackers inside or out amongst themselves. So if it's an outside linebacker, you can also move it to middle. If it's middle, you can move it to outside, but you cannot move a middle linebacker to a defensive end. And no, you can't move a middle linebacker to outside linebacker and then move the outside linebacker to D end. That's cheating.
Good call.
And you can't move your quarterback to anything. And I don't believe we allow wide receivers to be moved to tight end, and we don't allow tight ends to be moved to wide receivers at this time.
That is correct. And guys wonder why we don't allow that. You could definitely take advantage of some situations there that we don't want to go down. Wide receivers moving in at tight end, just when guys are looking for beating guys in man situations all over the place, they will tear up linebackers trying to cover them. So that's why we don't allow that.
Yeah, if you're gonna do that, you got to do what Tut does, and other people do it too. I myself as well. You need to find a tight end with some speed and route running that can beat a linebacker or a safety in coverage. You can't take J.J. Nelson with 95 speed or whatever the hell it is he has and put him at tight end. That's just not right.
Yep. So just showing you guys here, if you were to make a move, you just go to your roster, find a guy that you want to change. So if I wanted to change a guy, let's say from corner to strong safety, I can go to my cornerbacks, find the guy I want to change, select him. At the bottom there, you'll see that I have edit player. I can edit the player here, and right on the first screen, I have the ability to go in and change the position to whatever I want. Once you back out, it'll give you the option to save. I'm going to discard my changes here, but you would hit save if that's what you want to keep them at. Just a small pro tip, if you want to see what the ratings are at the positions you're moving at, just look under your depth chart.
Yeah, that's one thing that I don't know that it's happening right now, but some of the things that could change when you change position players is their awarenesses and their play recs could change, but I don't think it's being affected right now in preseason. But I know once the seasons and the franchise gets going, when we get to the position changes part in the offseason, if you move a linebacker or a corner from corner to safety or safety to corner, the awareness and play rec does get affected, or at least it did in previous versions.
Yeah, because you have that, you have a bunch of stuff that's kind of plays into that, so you're right. Then the last thing I kind of had down here is I had a question come in. I think Playmaker asked me this, or he mentioned this. He asked about the game speed, and he was kind of comparing it to Madden Ultimate Team. And what I told him back on that, and just telling you guys, is that he felt the game speed in our franchise was fast compared to Ultimate Team. But really, what you probably notice is in Ultimate Team that you're playing most of your games challenge-wise. You're playing those on rookie and pro levels. Really, only you have a few All-Pro challenges, and your head-to-heads are an All-Pro, and those game speed should be roughly the same. The one thing that I'll say that could be different game type-wise is that user versus user and user versus CPU definitely play a little bit differently. That's always been the case with any Madden I've ever played with.
Yeah, that's true. I think you covered that pretty well.
Okay. That's kind of all we got for today. Like I said, a reminder is you guys are playing games. Try to make some highlights for me. Send those to me via PM, and I will, or put them in the highlights channel. I'll look for those so that I can put together a highlight reel here and there. Like I said, I'd like to try to do that every week if I can, and put those out for our league. I think that'll be kind of fun. So, hope you guys enjoyed the broadcast tonight. We actually went pretty good and pretty long, but we went in depth on those free agents and everything. So it was good talking with you, Bogey. Thanks for joining me, and I will we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Later, guys.